Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narelle Atkins.
I'm Valerie Comer.
Grace Ericson is here today to chat with us about the Heroes of Freedom Ridge multi-author series. So this is exciting. We talk about these books all the time. So I Facebook messaged Tara and I was like, what if we did a whole episode on just the Heroes of Freedom Ridge? And shockingly, she did not say no. So because no author is going to say no to that. So thank you for joining us and having a fun Heroes of Freedom Ridge episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about this series, like how it started, what went into getting it set up, all that kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the idea for doing a multi-author series like this because I saw lots of cool things happening with other authors and I wasn't getting invited. So I decided to start my own and put out a call to other authors in the genre just to see kind of who was interested. And so after I selected a couple and we kind of chose the team, we all sat down and just brainstormed what we wanted to look like, what we wanted it to look like. And we landed on a Christmas series and a really tight-knit shared community that where all the stories would take place. And we decided to focus it on hero characters of law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, veterans, and things like that. And so we only planned one series when we first started, but we had such a good time that we've since done two more seasons, what we call them, of 6 books each. So there will be 18 books total in the series when this episode airs.
Excellent.
Wow.
Cool. You just totally answered Valerie's question, but that's okay. So
it's not the complete answer.
Okay, good.
So it's the 3rd season and 18 books. You did say that. How many authors have been a part of it? Are the same 6 running each year?
So there has been one author who was in the first season who didn't come back, and so we pulled in Jesse Gussman for season 2 and season 3. So 7 authors total, but mostly it's been the same core group.
I thought there'd been more turnover than that. That's nice. Very good.
Cool.
The group is really, really wonderful and very, very collaborative. Everybody has just been so willing to work with everybody else to make sure the stories jive and that the characters can have lots of little cameos and crossovers, which is really fun.
Do all the books in one season fit in one annual year in real life?
In real life year. In freedom time. No. So actually how we set it up is there are 2 books that happen concurrently. So books 1 and 2 happen in the same Freedom Ridge year, and then books 3 and 4 happen in the same Freedom Ridge year, and then books 4, 5, and 6, and then it keeps going like that. So we've had 9 years in Freedom Ridge that we have seen.
Well, I'm glad I asked because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we have had only 1 or 2 questions where people will say, well, in this book that came after, you mentioned that they're not together. I said, well, that's just because in that story where the timeline lined up, they haven't gotten there yet. So it does make it a little bit confusing, but it also has made it fun because you see certain events like a blizzard impacting both stories within that calendar year.
So that's interesting. Then books 3 and 4. Now my mind is doing a little churn here. So basically you have 2 authors who are working together at any given time for that year's stories.
Yes. So they share a calendar for, this is what's happening in my story during this year. And here's
it'd be easier than 6 people trying to share one for sure.
Yes.
Smart. So will there be kids then? Like if it's been 9 years, like we should start seeing babies, right?
There are lots of babies, and I would not be able to tell you who they all belong to or how old they are. Every now and especially if you're a later book in the season, you're kind of checking back, like, okay, well, when did your characters get married, and do they have kids yet? Because it's been 3 years,
Yeah.
theoretically, or now that I can look back and
I'm
if I
sure you have a
mention-
shared calendar
yes,
spreadsheet for that kind of stuff.
yes.
Cool.
Very cool. So one of the things I love about the Freedom Ridge books is Freedom Ridge itself. I love the consistency there. And so I thought it might be fun. And you wrote an Inspi Romance blog post sort of about this, but not everybody who watches or listens to the podcast reads the blog. So
They should.
They should, but not everybody does. So I thought it would be fun if we could just spend a few minutes sort of pretending we just got into town. All right. We all flew into Colorado and we got in the same rental car and we drove down to Freedom Ridge. Okay. And we're going to ski or snowboard. I'll be sitting in the lodge drinking hot chocolate because I don't ski or snowboard. I don't need a broken limb. My hand-eye coordination does not run to skiing or snowboarding.
You might get rescued by a handsome
That is
EMT
true.
and
That's true.
spend
Maybe
your
it's worth
Christmas
the
in
risk.
freedom.
So,
You might find your name in print.
right? We've got rooms at the lodge. So tell us, what can we expect at the lodge and who are we going to bump into and what are we going to do around town? Don't talk about around town yet. Sorry. Got ahead of myself. What are we going to do at the lodge?
Yeah. The lodge was really where we started the vision for the series. And it was kind of inspired by these big ski lodges out in the Rockies where you've got almost its own little city happening there at the lodge. So Freedom Ridge Lodge has the big common room lodge with the big roaring fireplace and all decked out for the holidays. Its own little coffee shop, which is called Mountain Mug. And you'll see Casey works there through a lot of the series, and she finally gets her story told in this season, inspired by the hero. It's by LK. And there's also a restaurant at the lodge called Liberty Grill. And you see that pop in, lots of dates happening there. Daniel and Ashley work there as chef and sous chef. And so there's a little bit of workplace romance in that story, Healing the Hero.
I read that one.
Yeah. And then the owner and his assistant have another little workplace romance in Persuaded by the Hero. And then you also have the security team for the lodge being featured quite a few times, former veterans winding up in the security office. And so Haven and Aya are in love pact with the hero, and Haven is throughout the series. She's the events coordinator at the lodge. So she's going to be the one, giving you your list of, if you're not going to be skiing, you can come and decorate gingerbread houses or whatever in the lodge common room this day. And if you do hit the slopes, you might find one of our part-time ski instructors like Aiden Clark, who is a big character of the series. His book was the very first book. And so you'll kind of see him pop in over and over again.
Love it. Yeah, it's Narelle.
So I'm just imagining big logs and rocks.
Yeah.
I'm imagining antler chandeliers. Am I right? Antler chandeliers?
I don't know if there's an antler chandelier. I'd have to look back at our inspiration pictures.
Because that just sounds to me like that. And you've got a bear rug in front of the fireplace. And
yes, definitely very rustic vibes, but high end, and it wouldn't be a cheap vacation, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Sounds
amazing though. So anyway, once we're settled at the lodge with all these amazing things happening,
and have made a gingerbread house or two.
Yes, and say we actually want to get out and about and have a look around. In the town of Freedom itself, What stores should we plan to visit? And if we are out and about doing some retail therapy, who are we likely to run into as we wander around town and look for coffee and all those types of things?
Yeah, I think that your first stop of the day needs to be at Stories and Scones for some coffee and some book browsing. So
Yeah.
that is one of the favorite places in Freedom. The town sort of revolves around Stories and Scones in my opinion. And Jan is sure to be there with a smile and a cup of coffee for you. So I would say you start there and definitely buy some books. They feature some local authors and indie authors, as well as all the bestsellers for your Christmas shopping. And then also I would hit up Wick and Sarcasm, which is our candle shop there. One of our new characters, Felicity, works there. And they have a huge selection of Christmas and other candles. And you can also make your own custom candles while you're there.
Oh, cool.
And yeah,
You don't want to ski.
If you don't want to ski. There's Patience and Tuck, who have a bakery and woodworking combination shop that you should check out some of his handmade wood crafts. Their story is in Friends with the Hero, and it's a really fun one. And for lunch, I recommend El Cresta, which has the best tacos in the Rockies. Or if you're doing a fancy dinner out, Evelyn's is a great option for a fancier upscale dinner as well.
Oh, sounds amazing for the non-skiers that are looking for other things to do at the lodge.
Cool. So, are there any big Christmassy events that we should plan on attending while we're in town?
None at all. No. Of course. It wouldn't be a good place for a Christmas series if there weren't. The Christmas season is sort of kicked off on the Sunday after Thanksgiving with the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, which I put in every single one of my books because I love it so much. But the Christmas, it happens obviously in the evening when it's dark enough, and the mayor invites all of the children up to hang ornaments on the tree. So they're all bunched up at the bottom where kids can reach, even though there's some ladders and things. There's little concession stand people there selling hot cocoa and peppermint bark and fun things like that. And then there's always music and carols as well. So that's always a really fun event, a great place for a bump in with your sweetie at the beginning of the season. The other biggest event is the Christmas parade, which is the Friday before the full week of Christmas. So generally around like the 16th, 18th, 20th of the month. And unless it gets snowed out by a blizzard, the Christmas parade happens kind of later in the afternoon, evening, as it starts to get dark. So you can see all the lights on the floats, and people line the street around the square for the local businesses and the high school parade or high school marching band to do the parade thing. And then Mayor Starling and his wife obviously dress up as Santa and conclude the parade in fine form. So there's all sorts of other Christmas events as well, depending on which circles you're running in, but gingerbread house competitions, cookie decorating, Christmas caroling, anything, an ugly Christmas party, ugly sweater Christmas parties. There we go. That was a fun one to throw in this year as well.
Cool.
I love it.
Sounds idyllic, which is, the goal.
Which, is the point, right? So we have all read some. I don't even think you've probably read all of the books. I don't think the rest of us have read every single one yet. But I thought it would be fun to talk about our favorite, or just one we liked. Maybe favorite is a too strong term.
Too strong a word.
Too strong a word. So
my most recent favorite is.
There you go. Current favorite. Valerie, you wanna kick us off?
I'm sure. My most recent favorite is the one that I just finished reading a couple days ago, and that is Second Chance with the Hero by Liwen Y. Ho. I enjoyed it because I have read one of Liwen's previous ones, not both. And so I have met her kids. Um, Let me retrace my steps there. The heroine is in her late 50s. It's her kids that I have met, not Liwen's. Oh, gotta watch that. So Josephine has recently retired from her midwifery practice in California and has moved back to Freedom, where she raised her family and where both her kids live. She has been divorced from the twins' father for 20 years-ish. And so this is a reunion romance, as you might guess from the title, Second Chance with the Hero. She's going through some stuff with being diagnosed early in the book, like chapter 1 or 2, with a brain aneurysm. So that's a really big life event for her. Jack has been working as a medic on oil rigs off of Angola since before their divorce. It was kind of part of what caused their divorce, because he was so concerned about making enough money for their family for raising these kids, and she was feeling abandoned because her parents had always had enough money, but she'd felt abandoned by them. So now he was like choosing money over her, is kind of how she had felt. So it's a pretty sweet welcome back kind of romance. Of course, it happens at Christmas time, so some of these events that Tara just mentioned are in the story, and we see her grown kids and well, they're Jack's as well, and some of their grandkids, and how he's helping her out after her surgery, her brain surgery and stuff. So that's something I don't think I've ever seen in a book before, is a brain aneurysm and brain surgery. So that was entertaining and not what you usually see in it's a nice change from heart attacks and cancer, I've got to say.
Yes.
So and I really did also enjoy that the glimpses of some of the locations and other characters besides Liwen's that were in there from the other half dozen or so of the Freedom Ridge books that I have read. So that was fun. That was my choice.
Yeah, that's a good one. I read that
one.
one this year also. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I like Liwen does a really nice job with older characters, I feel like. She has several books that have older characters, and they don't feel like young people who just happen to be old, but they also don't feel like they're doddering.
Exactly. They feel authentic. Yeah.
Not a caricature of an old person. It's like, just someone who's lived a good life. Yeah.
That one's in my TBR as well.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it came out a few weeks ago. I can't remember, October, I want to say. Yeah. I can't remember exactly when.
That was the second one this year, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will take your word for it. I don't know.
All right, Narelle.
Well, I'm going to talk about one I've actually talked about before when Tara visited with us to do the multi-author series episode. So if you go back through the archives, you'll find that episode. And that one is Believing the Hero. And I really enjoyed this one. And I haven't reread it, but I still remember from when I read it mid-year, I think it was. So that's always a good sign if I don't have amnesia and remember a book that it's a good book. Yes, and this one is another mature age couple. And I think that's something I have. Other people have done mature age couples in Freedom Ridge, haven't they? I think there's been. I think
these are the two. I think
it's only the two.
Yeah, it's Believing the Hero and Second Chance with the Hero. I think are the only two.
Well, hopefully there's more if you're going to do more Freedom Ridge books, because I do like the mature age character ones as well when they're done well. And so he is a retired secret agent from the CIA who's working a very boring, I think he's an insurance agent and real estate investor. He just looks like an average Joe.
So
and
exciting.
No one has any idea that he's lived this exciting backstory in his previous life before he turns up in Colorado. And the heroine is Jen, who Tara mentioned earlier. And so she's a widow. She has grandchildren, and she is the person who's at Stories and Scones, or Scones, whichever way you want to say it. My Aussie accent will butcher everything. And so she's a really fun character. And so they've been friends for years. And so this is very much a friends to more, and I really do like friends to more. And things are starting to move out of the friend zone. And then of course his past catches up with him, and something happens, and there's danger. And it's not a romantic suspense, but there definitely is a suspense thread in the story. And I really enjoyed this one. And it includes Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if you like the holiday seasons in the book, you get both of them in this one as well.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think
fun
I read
one.
that one. The interesting thing there too is they're good friends with Josephine and Jack
Yes.
So I was like, why do these people sound familiar? Oh, that's why. But I think I've also read their story. What season was that? Last year's?
That was
Yeah,
season 2. Yes.
That was book 9.
Yep.
Expert.
Just
know
Season
offhand
2.
when these books were. Come on now.
The
Well, I
more
mean,
we talk about it like seasons, the more you just like, oh yeah, we need this on TV for sure.
A whole
For
Hallmark
sure.
series.
Yep. So I read Blind Date with the Hero, also by Grace Ericson. That is this year, this season, and it was so cute. I didn't write down hero names or anything, so you're gonna have to help me out with my character names.
Jared
I
and
haven't read it.
Alexis, thank you. Okay. So Alexis is working for the Got Your Six agency, which if you've been keeping track, it ties in some with Believing the Hero. And they're basically a security bodyguard kind of firm, protection of some, and security. Like they do all kinds of stuff. And Jared works for the canine training people, which was in Tara's season 1 book, which
I remember
she had a
that.
dog named after my dog in that book. So the Dobby dog who dances and sings was named after my Dobby, who also dances and sings. So that's my claim to fame right there.
Everyone needs one.
Yep. So Jared trains dogs, but he's more on the service animal type dog as opposed to like the explosive detection and that kind of thing. So he just finished training a gluten sensing dog. Yeah, they have these. I see them. I don't follow her on Instagram, but I see her sometimes when I'm scrolling reels. There's a one lady on Instagram who has her gluten sniffing dog and is trained to like sniff food and alert if there's gluten. So
that's cool. Weird.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so then he's working on training a dog to detect peanuts for a girl with a very severe peanut allergy. So anyway, he and Alexis are super good friends, have been friends forever. They're just kind of like the best friends that everybody else is like, why aren't they together? But they're kind of both oblivious, except for that Jared is not oblivious. And so he's trying to work up the courage to do something about it. But Alexis was a Marine, and she's kind of closed everybody off because of like her time was sort of traumatic, as it can be. And she's just content to be herself, sort of on her own, but she's not actually super content, but she's trying to convince herself that she's content. But she loses a date. She loses a bet and agrees to, as having lost this bet, to go on 10 blind dates over the holiday season that this friend at work is going to set her up on. And they're terrible. They're so terrible. All of these dates are just the worst. Like if you imagine terrible blind dates, they're hilarious because they're just so terrible.
Just half a sec here. Who wrote this book?
Tara did.
So they're terrible.
They're terrible.
Got it.
That was terrible.
Couldn't help it.
And so she's going on all these horrible dates, and it is
no longer terrible.
No longer terrible. They're horrible.
Horrible.
And it's just Jared is just more and more jealous, and he's glad that they're horrible, but he's also like, stop going and date me. But so it's very cute and very fun, and I love how they end up together because, you know, no spoiler there, they do. and there also are tacos. So really you get everything you need.
And tacos.
Yes, tacos and romance, and you're good. So it was fantastic. It is probably my favorite Christmas book from this year, I would say, that I've read. So yeah.
I'm
So
I have it
so
on
glad.
pre-order. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All
I'm
right,
so glad
Tara,
you enjoyed it.
what about yours?
I've got all the warm fuzzies.
Yay.
I wrote Blind Date with the Hero immediately after writing my romantic suspense that came out in November. And so it was so fun to go completely opposite spectrum, like super lighthearted, almost rom-com-y. Like I had a blast writing that. So I'm glad
Palate
you enjoyed it.
cleanser.
Yes, it
Mm.
was. And I needed it. So the one I was going to talk about is Hope for the Hero, which came out this year. It's Mandi Blake's book from this year. And it features Tessa and Adam, who Tessa is the younger sister of Heath, who
I think
has
I read
his
that
story
one.
in season 2 in Guarded by the Hero. So it's his younger sister. Throughout the series, she's been around. She's been kind of aimless. She worked for Pete at the insurance agency for a little while and just different stuff. And so she finally kind of landed and found her place at Got Your Six. She went and got a degree and is working there. And she's working closely with Adam, who is not glad that she is there. And it is a very fun, grumpy sunshine classic workplace romance. And Mandi did a fantastic job with these two characters and making them super believable and fun. And Tessa is probably one of my favorite characters throughout the series. And I got to feature her quite a bit in Blind Date with the Hero since Alexis works at Got Your Six as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed.
So were your two books paired into the same annual year?
No, actually there's a 2-year gap. So she was year 7 and I was year 9.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very good. All right. Is there anything about Freedom Ridge that we need to know that we haven't hit?
I think that the thing I love most about Freedom Ridge is that we were very intentional when we set out the intention for the idea for this series was that these are going to be, shorter Christmas romances, not too short, but shorter Christmas romances. And they were going to have a faith element. Like it was.
What's your average length?
The goal was 40,000 words. Some authors tend to write longer. Sometimes I end up a little shorter. So I'd say they're probably in the 40 to 45 range on average. Yeah. And so it's easy when you're writing a shorter book, it's easy for that faith element to disappear for a novella or a short novel. And so when we designed the series, that was a sticking point for when we were selecting authors. If you aren't able to write a Christian Christmas romance and put that in the description, then you're not the right fit for this project. And it has worked out really, really well. And I'm happy with it. We have a really awesome reader community on Facebook too. I should highlight, if you enjoy these books and you like Christmas all year long, we have a ton of fun in that group. And one of the things you didn't mention, Elizabeth, in Blind Date with the Hero is that there's a town-wide Secret Santa happening.
I felt like I was talking too much, so I left.
Which it was the first year that we've had that as a part in the town. And there's some jokes about how doesn't this town have enough Christmas stuff? We really need a Secret Santa. But it sets some things up for the story. But so we decided to do a Secret Santa in our reader group with all of the Freedom Ridge folks. And so that's been really fun to see people posting what their Secret Santa sent them in the group. So we have a great time there.
How many more seasons are you going to go?
I don't know. We have not decided. It's
So they stop.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet. If you want more books in Freedom Ridge, tell us. I think, we're talking and praying about what comes next for Freedom and for this group of authors. We've really enjoyed working together. And so I think there will be something come out of this group, but I don't know if it'll be more books in Freedom or more books somewhere else.
3 books makes a nice series for each author, just kind of on their own.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
cool.
All right.
Thank you
So
so much.
what's coming up next for you?
Ooh, let's see. I am working on the next book in the Second Chance Fire Station series. So it's The One She Can't Forget, and it will come out in March of 2023. So I'm excited to write another lighthearted romance. And I've never written an amnesia trope, so it'll be fun to write an amnesia second chance.
Have we done an amnesia episode?
Did we?
Have we?
Can't remember.
Have we done an amnesia episode? I'm thinking we need
no,
one. If we
forgot.
haven't, we need one.
Is that
It had to be said.
Yeah, but have we done one? I
I
mean, I have no
don't
idea.
think
I have
we have.
amnesia.
I don't think we have. We should.
We should.
We
Yes.
should do.
it seems like we did, because I do have an amnesia one.
Yeah.
But
We'll have to look and see if we did. I really honestly don't remember. But if we didn't do one, we should do one.
we'll wait a
Book
few months
amnesia all
until
the time.
after Tara's is out, and then we'll have a new one to
A
discuss.
new
as
one.
well.
Yes, a new one is
Yes.
good. Yeah.
One we haven't forgotten yet.
Right. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Tara, for joining us tonight and telling us all about Freedom. I keep calling it Freedom Ridge because it's the heroes of Freedom Ridge, and the town is actually Freedom. Don't listen to me. It's not Freedom Ridge, it's Freedom. But still.
It's been known to happen, even by the authors.
Yeah. I always look forward to going there around Christmas. So I would be sad if this is it. But I'm glad that you joined us. And they will be there still around to revisit. They are rereadable, I have found. So we would love to hear from you. Let us know how many you've read, who's read them all. Maybe somebody other than Tara has read them all. And what you're looking forward to or anything having to do with the Heroes of Freedom Ridge. We'd love to hear from you. You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. If you are over on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And you can find information about the podcast at inspiromance.com/storychats. And that is all. So we will look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to fall in love with a good book. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.